resolution to keep the government from shutting down. As I walk the hallways here of the Senate, I have met with members, retirees of the United Mine Workers who've been back here week after week after week, and I applaud them for their persistence. And let us hope that, in fact, the continuing resolution does contain an agreement to protect those retiree health benefits. It is absolutely imperative that that agreement contain those benefits and that those promises be kept. Mr. President, even if we do put that provision in the CR, it still does not address another problem faced by retirees in the coal industry and retirees all over the country. And that is the fact that we are doing nothing to protect the pension benefits of coal miners and tens of thousands of other workers. This is an issue that is of major crisis proportions all across this country, and it is an issue that must be addressed. And that is why I am a proud co-sponsor of the Miners Protection Act. And that is also why I will be introducing legislation on May 9th to protect the pensions of not only 90,000 coal miners throughout this country, but the retirement benefits of 10 million workers in multi-employer pension plans. 10 million workers. Mr. President, over 40 years ago, the federal government made a solemn commitment to the workers of this country. If a retiree is promised a certain pension benefit after a lifetime of hard work, a company could not renege on that promise. That commitment 40 years ago was exactly the right thing to do. When someone works for their entire life, when they give up pay raises, when they work overtime, when they work weekends, in order to make sure that he or she has a secure retirement, it is absolutely unacceptable to pull the plug from that worker's benefit. Guarantees were made, and those guarantees must be kept. This is not negotiating over wage increases. It is not negotiating over overtime. This is a promise made to workers and paid for by workers that simply cannot be nullified if people are to have any faith in our political system. But, Mr. President, more than 2 years ago, behind closed doors, a provision was slipped into a must-pass spending bill that now makes it legal to cut the pension benefits of about 10 million workers and retirees in multi-employer pension plans. As a result, retirees all over this country are waking up to the unacceptable reality that the promises made to them could be broken, and that the pension benefits that they are receiving today may soon be cut by 30, 40, or even 65%. What this means is that retirees who are currently receiving a pension benefit of $18,000 a year are in danger of seeing their benefits cut by $3,843, a 21% cut. Retirees who are currently receiving a pension benefit of $36,000 a year could see their pension benefits cut by up to $21,000, a 60% cut. In other words, tens of thousands of retirees all over this country who today are in the middle class, who worked hard their entire lives, who gave up on wage increases, who worked overtime in order to protect those pensions, they may be seeing significant reductions in what they anticipated. We are talking about retirees who will no longer be able to pay their mortgages. We're talking about retirees who will not be able to pay their utility bills. We're talking about families who may have to go on food stamps to feed their families after working their entire lives. That is unconscionable. We cannot allow that to happen. In my view, we have got to send a very loud and very clear message to the Republican leadership in Congress and to the President of the United States. And that is, when a promise is made to the working people of this country with respect to their pensions and retiree health benefits, that promise must be kept. Today, Mr. President, about 150 multi-employer pension plans are in trouble financially. But let's be clear, the retirees are not the reason that these pension plans are struggling financially. The reason why many of these pension plans are in trouble is because of the greed, recklessness, and illegal behavior on Wall Street that drove this country into the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Let us never forget, when the largest financial institutions were on the verge of collapse 7 years ago, it was the taxpayers of this country who bailed them out. I didn't vote for it, but a majority of members of Congress did. Congress gave Wall Street some $700 billion in financial assistance. The Federal Reserve provided $16 trillion in virtually zero-interest loans to every major financial institution in this country and to foreign banks throughout the world, because they were, as we will all recall, too big to fail. If Congress can bail out Wall Street, if Congress can bail out foreign banks, we have got to protect the pension benefits of American workers. The legislation that I'll be reintroducing on May 9th would prevent the retirement benefits of about 10 million workers and retirees from being cut by repealing the anti-pension rider that was included in an appropriations bill 2 years ago. It establishes an emergency fund within the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation to make sure that multi-employer pension plans can continue to provide every pension benefit owed to every eligible American for decades to come. And, Mr. President, it is fully paid for by closing 2 tax loopholes that allow the wealthiest Americans in this country to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. Closing these loopholes will allow us to protect the earned pension benefits of every worker and retiree in a multi-employer pension plan in this country. At a time of massive wealth and income inequality, when half of all older workers have no retirement savings at all, when 20% of seniors are living on less than $13,000 a year, we have got to do everything that we can to protect and expand defined benefit pension plans in America, and I look forward to the support from my colleagues for this important legislation. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk should call the roll.